Anna was an alcoholic, single mother of 4, trying to navigate life and battle her demons daily, until a random invitation intervened and changed the entire trajectory of her life. She was invited by a family member to join their group 100 Days of No Drinking, and she didn't know it at the time. I mean, who would? Who would have predicted the series of events that would unfold? But on April 1st, 2024, as she puts it, this was the first day of the rest of her life. Anna tipped the scales at 100 kg, 220 pounds, and lost a whopping 70 pounds, 32 kgs. But what she gained will both warm your heart and enrich your soul. It'll also give you hope and remind you that we, no one else, are the directors of our destiny. We get to choose life. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 100 Pounds to Freedom. My guest today is Anna Karklins, and she has a freaking story. So without further ado, Anna, welcome to the podcast. You and I go way back. We're actually super close family friends, and I've watched your journey from afar. And you were a little reluctant to come on here because you felt like you didn't really have a story. And I kept telling you, I said, dude, your story will inspire so many women. It's not funny, right? And it's often from our perspective, we can't see what we've achieved. We might feel like we're getting better or we're starting to figure out this thing called life. But people from the outside looking in that know you have just seen the dramatic change. I mean, we're talking 30 kg drop in weight. But I feel more importantly than that, and we both struggled with this, is the precursor which kicked everything off, which is the alcohol.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And your brother Jesse inspired me to go down that road. I didn't really think I had a problem. Like, I kind of knew.
I think we were all in the same boat. I think ignorance is bliss, and yeah.
For context for the audience, you're a mum of 4 epic children. Very, very cool.
I am, yeah.
You've struggled in the past for years and years. Alcohol. There was some history of drugs back in the day as well. And you've come out of that. What kicked it off for you?
Oh, well, to be honest, we've all got that friend Rogan who he quite frequently does 100 days of no drinking. And it was Jess that had said to me when we were both drunk, we'd gotten to a point where even alcohol was not, making us happy. We were miserable. We were fat, miserable. And he had said to me when I was drunk, let's do 100 days of no drinking. And I drunkenly accepted. And it wasn't until the next day I'd realized, shit, what have I agreed to? Because 100 days, I couldn't even go, a few days without a drink. So that was the most, in my mind, the most dumbest drunken thing I'd ever agreed to.
Long list of stuff, right, that we all agree to when we're on the piss, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it was actually the day that we came into the studio, your studio in Phoenix. My daughter actually gave me the date of when the 100 days ended. And that's when it really hit me of like, oh my gosh, 100 days goes for that long.
Actually 100.
And I did not know. I did not actually 100. I was thinking, a few weeks, but no. And I don't think any of us had any idea the journey that was ahead of us and just the life-changing events that were going to take place.
If you could go back in time now, this is probably a stupid question. Would you change anything? Like, are you happy with the result and the ripple effect that's taken place in your life from starting that?
It has been absolutely life-changing. Like never in a million years did I believe I could do it. I mean, the stopping drinking, that was miraculous in itself. And then to enjoy the benefits of losing weight, I wasn't even trying to lose weight at that point. It was just the no drinking. That was the first mission. But yet so many amazing things happened.
One win stacks on another one. Like you were giving up alcohol, that would have helped you. There's a lot of calories in alcohol. That would have helped you drop weight. But do you think somewhere along that 100-day journey, you started walking more, working out more, or started to dream bigger, started to eat better? Like did the gains stack on top of each other?
Oh, massively, massively. So when I first stopped drinking, I felt it was the most foreign thing for me because I was entering into sober life, and that was the most absurd thing. It was like a place I'd never really been for many, many years. So, and I didn't know what to do with myself, and I spoke to Jess, and he just said, well, you don't, go for a walk, start walking. And I didn't want to do that, but I started, and eventually I started to notice I was able to think more clearly, and my mental state became a bit more stable, and I wasn't always grumpy and yelling at the kids. I was able to get up early. The social anxiety, though, that's one thing I noticed was a really, really a bit of a like I still struggle with it now. It's many, many years on, I think, catching up with trying to be sober, and because I hid behind a mask of alcohol for many, many years. So to enter into reality is a whole different ball game, but amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
I think we've all done that, like attending social events and that, especially I want to say, I feel like we've got similar personalities, you and I, but the male-female version. Like if we're at a party, it's like you're the life of the party, yeah, and you're, let's go, and you're cracking the jokes and you're dancing and whatever. Because I know for me, you kind of just didn't feel yourself, and I remember on the 100 days, I had a challenge come in about 6 weeks into it, and there were 3 events in a row. And I was not really attending events, but there was sort of 3 things I had to go to. And, drinking a soda water, it just felt super weird, and left early as I could. So that was an issue for you too?
Oh, massively. Now, so when we did the 100 days of no drinking, so there were quite a few of us doing it. And we had a dinner at Rogan's place. And I've known Rogan my whole life, majority of my life. And I was saying to Jess before we got there, I said, I'm feeling really anxious socially. Like my anxiety was through the roof. And it had dawned on me that this is the first time I'd been around Rogan and pretty much everyone sober. I can't remember the last time I was around them not drunk. And it was the most awkward. It was amazing to experience that, but it was the most strangest thing for me. Very awkward, and I just realized I'm not an extrovert like I thought I was. I'm actually more of an introvert. Alcohol makes you think that you're this out there amazing, whatever, but really, wow. No.
How were the kids seeing the difference in you? Like all of a sudden mum is starting to go for walks and she's not drinking, and obviously, you're not waking up hungover or anything like that. So you've got more focus and attention. Like what were the biggest shifts for them that you feel? And did they say anything to you? Did they comment on it?
I think they joke about it, saying that I was more fun when I was drunk, But in reality, I think I didn't realize how much the alcohol it ran my life. And I missed out on so many years being there and turning up for my kids, showing up where I should have been. So I think a lot of that, me actually being consistent now in in their lives. I mean, I was always consistent in their lives, but mentally I was never there. I was always drunk or, So I think, but then I'm more calm now as well, like when you're drinking, you're fun, but then also the next day you're grumpy and you're yelling and you're over everything, you hate it. I think they've noticed it's a more calm environment now, whereas back then it was just dysfunction and chaos. And I don't know how I managed to, to survive in that. All my kids survive in that. I think having me now be stable and consistent is, mentally good for all of them. Oh, I do remember that actually. Harley, my eldest son, he wrote something in a little report at school that mum's always happy when she's drunk. And I thought, wonderful, that and many other things.
There's a lot caught, not taught. They pick up on our behavior patterns and all the rest of it.
Massively. And it's really scary once you actually see that.
When you see good friends that are just going for their dreams and leveling up, it just warms your heart, right? And, back in the day, you used to love dance and all the rest of it. And lately, you've been getting back into it. Now, I don't know for sure, but I would put money on it that if you were still on the piss and still 32 kgs heavier, there's no way you would have got back into dance. Yeah. Tell me about...
No way.
Tell me how it feels.
No way.
Like, how does it feel to rediscover yourself, your body? You're still in your 30s, gain flexibility, be part of like a team, environment. Like, how has that enriched your life?
Oh my gosh. Well, firstly, there's no, and if I was still drinking now, I mean, so the 1st of April last year was when my first, my first day of no drinking. So I think that I would be more than 32 kilo overweight had I carried on down that path. Dancing, so I used to dance, and then I had kids and sort of all my goals went out the window, and that's where alcohol crept in. Rediscovering my identity has been, and every time I go to a dance class, I'm discovering more and more about myself. To be able to actually look myself in the mirror, or put those videos up on social media for me is massive, because I would cut myself out of photos, my lower half, from here down in all photos. When I was fat and overweight, I was horrified. So to be able to actually look at myself, have a photo of myself, or even a video, that is truly, I would never in a million years thought I'd be able to do it, especially while I was drinking. And that was the most foreign, ridiculous, out there idea I could have ever thought of. But it became a reality, which I feel very, very lucky and very blessed that I was able to, that I was that drunk that I agreed to it.
Love it. Yeah, it's it's obviously it is you. Like, you made the decision to give it a go. One step built on another step. A little more than a year later, you're now dancing on a regular basis, filming yourself, happy to put yourself out there because of how you're looking, but also the functionality in your body, being able to move. I just feel that everything started with that day one, April 1st. The same with me. It's funny. It's kind of like I had no idea that it was be so powerful, so life-changing. What are your thoughts? And I'm probably searching more for advice here to other women, and they could be your age, could be mid-30s, they could be 40s or what have you. But you a little while back got out of a relationship, and for one reason or another that ended, as relationships do. They can sometimes run their course. Do you feel in that environment, if you were still in that environment, that you'd be able to do 100 days? How key is environment to the woman listening out there, to the mamas listening out there, to be able to be the best version of themselves?
Oh, environment, I think, plays a huge role. If I was still in that environment, definitely not. Absolutely not, because alcohol was a huge part of that. And, you know, my love for alcohol, there's no way you could put me in that environment and me not drink. I think, yeah, it's definitely the people that you have around you, and you've got to be so careful. I was so lucky, so lucky that the people I had around me, I had Jess, and, you know, he's as stubborn as a mule. He's, you know, if I agree to something with him, then I have to, damn it, I have to stick to it as much as I didn't want to. And I had you around, you know, and the people that were in my life were all sort of on the same journey. So I was so lucky. And, you know, and they were wanting to see me succeed. You know, there's a lot of people that, you know, if someone's succeeding, they're like, oh, nah. You know, and I used to be like that when I was drunk. If I was drinking and someone gave up drinking, I'd be like, oh, why would you do that? You know, like that's gay. So I think environment plays a huge part, and just the people that you have around you, you know, wanting you to succeed and really just wanting the best for you, that it's huge, absolutely huge. It really, yeah, it depends on, I think they can either make it or break it, you know, whether you succeed in your journey.
What's some advice that you would give to a woman out there that are overweight? They're fat, you know, they could be 20, 30, 40 kgs, you know, 50 pounds plus overweight. They may have used to be into dance or sports or something like that. They've got a couple of kids and they're drinking on a regular basis, and that could be just on the weekend, overdoing it, or it could be, you know, that 1 or 2 glasses of wine per night. But they feel like they've lost themselves. They feel like they've lost who they are, like their identity. What would be your advice to them? Like, how can they find their way home to themselves?
I know for me, one of the big things was not thinking about, say, the 100 days, not thinking about the massive, I mean, that's a long time to think, like, oh my gosh, I've got to go 100 days no drinking. Think about each day as it comes. Only focus on that day and getting through that day. And as impossible as they feel that it is, I had no idea, absolutely no idea, the life-changing events that were ahead for me. And I know that we all have excuses. For many years I had excuses like, oh no, it's too hard, or I'll start this day, or excuses. It takes a lot to be able to say, you know, I can't live like this anymore. I mean, it sounds horrible, but the hate for yourself and how you're living becomes so unbearable that you have, you know, you have no choice but to make those hard decisions. And it is hard. It really is hard, but the benefit at the end of it is life-changing. Like, I look younger now than I did 10 years ago. You know, and I feel younger. My advice would be to not think of the massive picture. It would be to take each day and just get through that day, because each day gets easier, and one day, you get through one day, you're like, oh my gosh, I can get through one day, and then the next day and the next day and the next day, and pretty soon you've done a month, and you're just like, where's that time gone? You discover your identity and who you are, and it's actually quite scary to realize. For me, I realized, oh my gosh, I have no idea who I am, no idea. So it's that rediscovering who is Anna.
There's a gazillion people out there who haven't done that, who didn't draw a line in the sand, and, you know, they're now in their 40s, 50s, 60s or whatever, just living with regret. You know, I could have done this, I could have done that.
Yeah.
So yeah, kudos to you for building, you know, just putting one foot in front of the other. Just before we wrap up, Anna, I want to talk about the struggle. Tell me about either one or one of the hardest days when you were doing this 100 days, where you almost threw in the towel and you gave up.
Well, I can recall one time, so my eldest daughter, and she had friends over and they were all drinking. Now I've got a little grandson, he's nearly 3, and I thought to myself, there's no way that I can be around this. Like, I could have easily just, you know, thrown in the towel because it was very early stages for me. So I actually took my grandson. I said, right, we're going for a drive. I think I went to visit Mum.
That comes back to environment, right? Like if you didn't eject yourself out of that space, out of that situation. And I think that's it. It's almost, I think when you're trying something like this, and this is just for the audience because Anna and I have both been through it, environment is so key. And knowing that this environment could lead to you making a decision that's going to, you know, stop your progress, ejecting yourself from that situation is just the best thing. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you hadn't have done that and you slipped up, you may not have restarted, and none of your dreams with dance and all the rest of it would have come through. You still would have been 30 kg heavier. These decisions impact the outcome of our life, the trajectory of our lives. So yeah.
Oh, 100%. I cringe. Like, I look back at photos and just think, oh my gosh, because when I was fat, I think I was very, you know how a lot of people, they have their body dysmorphia where they, is it they think they're fat, but they're actually really small. Well, I had the opposite, where I didn't realize how fat I was. And so, you know, I was, it wasn't until, and which I'm very lucky, because had I known how fat I truly was, I don't know what would have happened. But it's not until I've actually lost all the weight and looked back, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. And I remember when I used to I'd done a few ads for you, where I'd always saying, can you crop out my double chin? I still have it a bit, but, yeah, I just mortified when I look back now. I do laugh because I just think, gosh, I was living in La La Land thinking I wasn't as fat as I was.
It's funny today. I was
Pretty big.
I've discovered something recently, that my shadow has lost weight, because I was similar to you. I'd be like, oh, I'm okay, and then I'd be walking along and I'd think, why do I have a fat shadow? And yeah, but now it's like, dude, your shadow's looking good. And it's yeah.
Your shadow's looking good. I remember I'd walk past a window and my ass would have an ass. And I'd be like, that's not, surely that, you know, it's angles, surely that's that. But no. I mean, Jesse described me as, how would he described me as, my back started here and then like I was one big butt. He just said I was just massive. It's just one big walking ass.
for sure.
And but yeah, you know, he's always been very straight up with me, and I've appreciated it, you know. So had I known how fat I truly was,
I think the pain can help. Actually, it was your ex-partner who gave me a massive ribbing, but that pain fucking fueled me. You know, like I would always remember that. Friends and family members can tend to say, oh, it's okay, you're just big boned or whatever. That doesn't help anyone. You know, okay, you maybe don't need to be brutal, but people need to know where they're at to start thinking, shit, actually, I need to do something.
yeah.
And on that thought, just quickly before we wrap up, what else did you do? aside from the alcohol. So women that are out there and they want to lose weight and they might be thinking, actually, I don't drink that much. I just, what did you do with food? What did you do with exercise? What's a tip for the viewers?
So I actually did a calorie deficit in there. I actually got Jess to sort that out. I think there's some kind of calculator you can do. And that was very, very difficult to do. But the first few days, I think were the hardest. Once you actually get into the swing of it, very easy to do. The calorie deficit, you really strictly, with your calories and things like that, it's amazing the weight that could come off and then the energy that comes with that. Then I was able to go and do more walking and things like that. I began to actually develop a love for physical activities because I didn't realize the amount of calories. So I actually, when I was drinking, my idea of being healthy was I'll go for the sugar-free RTDs. I think. And I thought, I'm doing well. Look at me. 2 birds with 1 stone, being healthy and, but they have a lot of calories in them as well. I think it was like, I know a normal one is like 100 and something, or other calories might be way more than that. And I would be drinking a shitload, an absolute shitload. I could do, 2 or 3 boxes on a night, and I'd drink until there was none or I was crashed out.
That's something that I discovered during my initial 100 days because I thought, okay, there's calories and fats, carbs, protein. I didn't realize that there's calories in alcohol. So if you have a sugar-free drink, like 0 sugar, but it contains alcohol, there's still calories. And I was like, how does that work, And I discovered that when I scanned and compared a low-carb beer to an alcohol-free beer. And I was like, this alcohol-free beer is saying there's more carbs than the low-carb. Why does it have less calories? And I was like, the alcohol. I was like, whoa. Are you open to anyone reaching out to you if there's another woman thinking, gee, this lady's given me hope?
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely fine. I think also just the advice that I would throw out there as well is it is possible. Absolutely possible. If you see what I was like, I was the laziest, fat, overweight, just piece of shit, really. That's how I would look at it. To go from that to where I am now, as I would have thought back then, it would be impossible, absolutely impossible. And I never in a million years would have thought I could go, a day without a drink in my hand, or even be a little bit smaller than I was. And it is possible. I think you have to get your mind right. You have to have that support system as well. And the environment that you're in, it plays a huge part, as you said before.
Anna, the name of this podcast is 100 Pounds to Freedom, and you're down over 65 pounds and you have gained your freedom back, and I've seen it firsthand. So I just want to, say kudos to you for taking ownership of your ship and just rocking it, man. And I just can't wait to see how your story continues to unfold. So thank you for being on today.
Oh, thank you so much. And kudos to you as well. Like, just dramatic change. Absolutely. You've done so amazingly well. So I'm excited to see what your journey ahead looks like as well. Only good stuff.
Now, Anna, you were scrolling on Tinder, and what happened?
Well, I was on Tinder, as you do. Obviously, I only had the upper part of my face in the camera, and like on my photos, never a full body pic. Unfortunately, I didn't realize how fat I was, and I just wanted to all you males out there that were lured and you got the wrath. of fat Anna, I sincerely apologise because I truly didn't know. I didn't know I was a catfish. It turns out I was.
And you have something confession, and you have an affectionate name for your catfishing, don't you?
Fat fish. It's
Fish.
yeah. And I've been called that by my daughter and my brother. Yeah, I wasn't a catfish, I was a fat fish.
On behalf of Anna, all those gentlemen who were fat fished, Anna is so sorry.
So sorry. From the bottom of my fat heart. I'm genuinely sorry. Oh gosh.
Love it. And that's all we have.
Yeah,
It's a wrap.
that's all.